So Apple has officially started increasing the pricing of their product lineups, including MacBooks, including iPads, HomePods, and etc. things. But they are still leaving iPhone as a secondary choice of increasing the price. But the biggest question here is, will the iPhone be the next for increasing the price? Let's talk about it. So Apple has increased the price of a bunch of their accessories, including their MacBook Airs, MacBook Pros, Mac Minis, iPad Air, iPad Pros, HomePod, and Apple TV. And these prices have been increased by 15 to 25% and would be again increasing in the upcoming future. But the upcoming future is not likely to be increased because Apple has strategically has designed their prices now so that if the future price increase again hit them, then they won't be having to change their prices again. Many people think that Apple has increased prices because of this tariffs and taxes and sort of other memory concerns. But the thing why Apple has increased their prices is kind of a bit more likely to do with you people, including me. And what that means is we know that nowadays AI slop content, including AIs, including every individual artificial intelligence which you are using for your day-to-day life, have been highly conservative in terms of RAM and storage options. So the latest LPDDR RAMs, including the latest 1, 4, and 5, and N-AND flash storage, it is N-AND flash storage, is likely to prioritize by AI for the heavy data centers and highly price concerns of the RAM, and they still requires those RAM. And that's why they are purchasing higher majority of the RAM storage around the world, pushing that all RAM and storage limits inside the AI. And because of it, the global RAM crisis have been occurred. And now it's not still limited to RAM. It's gone to storage as well. It gone to graphics card from the date the AI slop has started. And till now, the graphics card is still hiking the price. Now the cheap CPUs and every individual component, which is highly been likely related to AI, is been increasing. And if you ask the question why every individual company is likely to give RAM to only AI companies like Google, Microsoft, ChatGPT, etc., etc. So the thing is, those companies give extra money for their prices because so Google is highly competitive to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is highly competitive to Grok AI. So the thing is, every individual company invests much more of their overall valuation to the RAMs and storage so that they will be pushing the limits of their AI module and they will be the best in around the world. So they give extra money to purchase that same configuration of RAM with that, okay, supposedly Apple is paying something, then you will be paying something plus X on that same amount so that you'll be getting the memory first, excluding Apple. So Apple's manufacturing cost has suddenly drastically increased because of this memory crisis. So now here Tim Cook's statement is pretty much popularizing is that Apple says they have tried absorbing these costs, but the situation have become unsustainable. Tim Cook reportedly described the situation as a 100-year flood for component prices. And it's been pretty intuitive because the RAM prices have been likely to deplete in 2027, but it's not still. So in 2026 they are again going on to an upper level, so it's not likely to be ending up in 2027 until unless the new alternative comes in the market. So the new product lineup is like iPad Air with 150 extra bucks you have to pay for the baseline iPad Air. iPad Pro, you need to invest $200 extra for the same configuration of iPad. MacBook Air is roughly around 200 plus bucks higher than the average one, which you would buy 3-4 days prior. MacBook Pro is significantly $200 to $600 depending upon the criteria of MacBook Pros you're buying. So the thing is, earlier on you have to pay 128 gigabytes MacBook Pro variant, $1,000 extra for that memory. Now it costs $2,000 extra for that 128 gigabytes of memory of MacBook Pro. And this is twice of expensive as it was. So Apple has not officially increased the iPhone price yet, and they are not intended to in the fewer rounds, but nearly every major analytical believes that iPhone would also be heavily invested in RAM and storage. So they will also likely to be keep increasing the component price and making the iPhones expensive. And the company has already indicated much more price hike in majority of their products. And iPhone would also be in it, right? But the second of the theory is like, okay, Apple is likely to make sufficient amount of money from their overall round product that they would be investing in iPhone's memory, and that would cost people the same for the iPhone, and that would be purchased very majority of things because Samsung also gets the same prices, that is RAM prices. Xiaomi also get the same RAM prices. OnePlus and every individual big brands, Google and every individual big brands also get likely to get the same problem, come up with the same problem. So the thing is that individual companies heavily depends upon their phone prices, right? They're selling their phones at the majority stakes. Now Apple is not likely to, still their highest sale is iPhones, but it's not likely to be completely dependent upon it. They are selling iPads, MacBooks, HomePods, Apple TV, AirBuds, and etc. etc. thing. So they are not likely to depend upon only and only iPhones. So they could increase the twice of the thing for the RAM ones, for their MacBook Pros, iPads, and etc. etc. thing, and they can still keep the iPhone prices same. What would happen then Samsung would likely to be increasing their price because of the RAM prices, and they have still have given a bump of their RAM, and they're charging much for their Samsung S26 Ultra still, and the Apple would not likely to be increasing it. So the sales of iPhone would be likely increase than compared to the Samsung, because people would likely to see that as a cheaper option. So that's one of the criteria. So okay, if iPhone prices would increase, then there are a few criteria. Let's suppose base iPhones. Base iPhones would likely to be, earlier on it was $799. So it would likely to be increased $100 more, $50. Apple never increases $50 for their iPhone prices. They like to get that even number, 799, which is 800. And that's why it would more likely to be cost $900 or 850 in a scenario case. So for the Plus model, you can again say $100 increment. So it would likely to be $1099 instead of $999 previous one. For the Pro phones, they could highly increase the price from $1,100 to like overall $1,200 or maybe $1,300. That's completely dependent upon them again. For the Pro Maxes, the leaks have confirmed that the pricing would be $1,399. It's increased from $150 to $200 again. It's not usual, definitely, but we cannot do anything about that. So again, iPhone and Apple is not likely to be only company which is fluctuating with this RAM prices. Other companies are also there. Lenovo, one of the biggest laptop brands, other smartphone manufacturing units, as well as some computer component manufacturing units. They're also serving with the same RAM and storage crisis. So Apple is not likely the one to be facing that problem. And soon I think industry will be replacing something or the other, because they have to. There's no other options. AI is consuming very huge amount of RAMs and storage, and that's not a problem of those companies. It's a problem of ours. We are using AI in every sector now. Okay, the last question is, if iPhone prices would increase, would you still buy it? Like if it increased to $1,399, would you still likely to buy it, the latest iPhone 18 Pro, or you would be considering the last generation iPhones, or you're still get up with that same iPhone which you have used twice a year back or thrice a year back, and you're still using it? So until unless Apple increases the price of their iPhones, till that time, keep updating.